Hey guys, this is Mauisnake, and I'm going to be doing a full demo review of D-haw and what he is accomplishing right now for ENCE, because this guy has been on an absolute tear lately. It is so impressive the amount of impact that he is having for this team, and despite the fact that I think his time on Sprout was pretty good. Like, it was actually, solid work that he was doing consistently. I would say he was the best player on that team, despite what I just said about Favin recently in my other video. I think D-haw wasn't actually fully unlocked. And I think what he's bringing for ENCE right now under Snappy's leadership is incredibly impressive. So you guys will see what he's able to do here against Lingby Vikings. This is in the Home Sweet Home, or should I say Snow Sweet Snow Cup number 1, and if either of these teams lose this game, they will actually be headed home. So pretty important for them to win, because this is a pretty big tournament for both of them. And D-haw will just be the entry here on an A hit, kind of an awkward flash though, as he tries to get out. And now he is just entering onto the site, just plays behind the single blue bin, and is now in a post plant position. Just tries to play with the player on top, and just good game sense allows him his first kill of the game, and they will take a 1-0 lead because of it. So D-haw is probably the fastest time to kill player on this team for sure, and I would say that probably top 40 pretty easily, I'd say, in the world. I'd say top 40 time to kill in terms of just pure rifle work. I feel like this round won't actually show that all too well, but you will see that this guy is just incredibly fast with his shots. So they mosey on down towards lower. We'll re-smoke the cross here. And then he's just going to be playing right behind the silo. He hears that there's a player coming up on the top left. He gets that one. Takes him a little while to get this kill onto Fasher, but he's able to accomplish it finally. And 2 kills is really all he needed to get in order for them to win that one. This was, after all, just kind of an anti-force buy sort of round. Kind of scary round, but usually one that can be handled pretty well. So, Lurk Smoke outside. D-haw goes for some early on aggression. He hears that Deagle from Bird from Sky and just goes for the pick, thinking that Bird from Sky will likely be keyed in onto the cross smoke angle, trying to hold something there, and D-haw just takes full advantage of that. Now he's just going to be posted up at lower for quite a while in this round, but he does kind of scurry on about. He's looking for any more kills, just using his utility. Just ENCE is kind of in a hold state right now, where they aren't trying to do too much, but now that Snappy is finding an engagement, he will come and join him. And weird kind of mid-round call, I would say, from ENCE here, as they now back up towards lower. This round doesn't really get too crazy, but D-haw just kind of dances here with Fasher, who is also a very talented up-and-coming player. I think I'm liking what I'm seeing from Fasher the most of anyone from Lingby Vikings in the games that I'm seeing from them. So he's someone to look out for the future. Don't say I didn't tell you. And now pretty much anti-eco ends. Goes back outside. Lurk Smoke again. Throws the molly for the back of red there, which will usually just flush a player out. But it's a ruse, as ENCE is just feigning that pressure. And now they make their way close towards hut here. D-haw will be the entry in this situation, given that he has the MAC-10. Not really much of a surprise, I would say. And he's just ready to go in with his teammates' utility. You can see that they're all throwing stuff at presence. He's going to throw his own flash that banks out of the hut right there. And just first in here, jumps around the smoke, the counter utility from Relax, or Rawls, that is. And at this point, they've already pretty much secured the round. 2-on-3, just plants the bomb. Although it is a 2-on-2, and so something that's cool about what D-haw does here is he actually takes some initiative along with Snappy in that they push to get some new space. And given that ENCE or Lingby Vikings knew that there was at least a player on site, they probably wouldn't expect a person here. They take down Spinks, and now D-haw is just here at the opposite vent spot, and they just have no idea. You can see how keyed in they are into believing that he is right around the silo. And he's able to catch both of those players with their pants down. One not looking at him, NATO Sapphics with a nade out. And it's a clean and easy 1v2 for D-haw, but all because he repositioned there in that mid-late round situation. I'd say late round situation. So early utility towards outside. He's going to throw his own flash to try to help his teammates scale, but actually Snappi decides better of it, and D-haw throws a little bit of spam through the smoke right there. And by the way, guys, you cannot shoot through this. You cannot. That is not a thing. Don't. So D-haw, though, does that not for the spam, but to actually, I think, worry the player that's actually playing in mini as Snappi drops into mini. It's a weird coordinated play because it doesn't actually do anything, and if the player in mini is not, doesn't get nervous, there's no real point for them to think that that's actually a play. But interestingly, he just goes for it, and it kind of does unsettle them. And now D-haw, he wants to get the bomb in this situation. Fasher is there right. He's able to see the bomb. He sees that it's taken away, and D-haw just checks his flank after picking that bomb up right around the corner. And now Fasher actually knows that D-haw is here. He's actually very ready for the fight, but D-haw is actually just so fast that it doesn't even matter. So he gets a kill and a half, and this is actually a really nice clutch from Snappi, and it's actually helped out ENCE that Snappi's in pretty decent form right now. So I want to show you guys this clutch on top of that, even though it's not a Snappi point of view demo, as he gets the kill onto NATO, and just really clean shots from Snappi. So they're able to pull that one through. So D-haw there actually threw a smoke early on. That was a jump throw. A little bit sorry that I skipped that one, but it just lands. And it's just more misdirection in the beginning of these rounds. It's kind of something that I've noticed Snappi teams have done in the past, especially on contact. When they had barely any practice, they would throw a decent amount of misdirection that actually was able to fool a couple of teams at Flashpoint 2, namely Fnatic, the way that that contact played Mirage against them. They were able to get themselves into some pretty advanced positions because Fnatic were actually confused about what was happening in rounds at times. So it's always cool to see that Snappi brings that level of leadership to his team. And so now D-haw actually just gets onto A, very confused about the fact that he's on the bomb site. Throws the molly towards heaven and plants on the side of the silo, which isn't really a great plant in that it's very dangerous to plant there, and it's not actually... You can defuse behind the silo partially if you're playing towards mini, although he might have planted just far enough, I'll say. So now just plays right in front of the silo, is able to get the kill on Bird from Sky, just spins and gets the kill onto Fasher on top of that, and now he knows where Relax is, and he gets all three. This guy is just so crazy fast with his kills, and in these kind of tough situations, even though he's kind of more or less the entry fragger for them, his quick aim and just overall solid game sense allows him to break that situation down so well. It is just actually so fun to watch this guy play, because he just does that stuff all the time. So again, the outside smoke, the jump throw, you guys maybe could have seen the lineup a little bit better this time around, but he throws a molly and through the door to prevent any CTs from pushing there. And ENCE were trying to go for a ramp play in this round, but they are stopped by the utility there. So now they decide to back off of the angle entirely, as given the utility that they still have a lot of options. So D-haw just going to be holding here towards the lobby, kind of makes his way over towards ramp as he now picks up this position. Just kind of crouch, jiggling the angle out. And then throws the same entry flash once again, which is very easy for him to dodge as he comes out. And on the floor is Fasher, and he kind of overlooks that position. Or Fasher was actually above him on the rafters, but there was a player right next to Tetris that he kind of couldn't see also, which I think his gun model probably got in the way of. So kind of a weird situation for him there. But now D-haw throwing one of the outside smokes for ENCE in this one. You'll see that this is just creating that kind of farther L bend that gives you more space. What these smokes allow instead of the normal cross smokes is that you have a lot of options, but you do have to worry about this angle. This is frequently the one that rifles will play when they see those smokes. In fact, actually, I don't think those are the same smokes a lot of teams use. Usually they block off the credit card position a little better, but it's a different take on it, as you could molly the credit card space. But it probably actually keeps a player outside pretty consistently, given that they probably want to work around those smokes and see what's happening. So yeah, you could see that NATO is just trying to wonder what's actually going down. And once again, it's just the snappy IGLing and the misdirection that comes out. So same flashes again. They really have these flashes down. And he actually misses the player that's on the door, so he has to spin around and get him. He actually gets no kills in this round, but does a lot of good damage, creates a lot of disruption in terms of his pathing, and it doesn't actually result in a victory. It goes down to the 1v1, but at the same time, just a standard entry route for D-haw when they go for the A exec there. So early utility there towards A, and again, just like so many times, I'm just going to keep saying it basically, snappy rounds begin with misdirection. They begin with nades that will just make you uncomfortable on your CT side. It's almost like when you're playing against a team with Snappy, you never know if those early nades are actually going to be used as part of something, or it's just to burn some of your utility, like they want to trade with you or something. But this time around, they just throw the cross smokes afterwards. Just a little bit of utility burned on the Lingby Viking side, and now D-haw makes his way towards Decon here, and he's joined with two players in Dodo and Snappy. And now you'll see their procedures for taking lower. A little bit of a cross smoke comes out. Flash there. Double flash, actually. And Dodo just plants in the smoke. And D-haw, he wants to work around the smoke as well as he can. He has one of the few premium rifles for his team right now. So just want to see if he can take any fights. But Dodo gets a couple of big kills. But still, D-haw still thinks that his angle is very strong, as it is, given that it was very difficult for Bird from Sky to actually notice him. And now D-haw, he has all the information in the world, knows exactly where Rawls is, playing around these control doors, and at this point, all he has to do is play the time. You could see that he did want to face, he wanted to let his instincts kick in and go for the face, but he does know that it's not generally the right way to play a 2v1 such as that, and so just late swing to actually go for the exit, and he's able to catch out Rawls, and he already has 15 kills in 9 rounds on the T side of Nuke. It's crazy just how good this guy is. And he drops an AK now, knowing that his opponents will be on a buy such as this, where it's a force buy of sorts, and he'll be making his way toward the vent pretty early on, and he actually misses the vent, interestingly enough, and then he dies. So we'll just be skipping the rest of this one. That's probably the worst round we see from D-haw. And it's why it's kind of fun to go through the full demos, even though I have been editing some videos lately, just to show you guys some of the mistakes, too, that these players make. So, D-haw, just with that one opening pick, as Lingby Vikings are going for a pretty heavy outside kind of contest. And just the one kill, but overall, Lingby just continue to hold that space in the round. And now, D-haw, just based off of the spawn, is the third man in. It's just a swarm of Tech 9s on this bomb site, and actually D-haw flashes towards Heaven twice to allow his team a little bit of space. You'll see that those flashes are pretty clean and that they land right into the faces of any CTs, and he has yet another nade here, a smoke in fact, and this is kind of a nice lineup for him because it blocks them off very cleanly, as they can't really push on forward. So he inserts himself right beneath the smoke. This is a very difficult entry. Fasher actually had a little bit of an angle there, just barely through it. He's barely right in front of it and using his one-way on top of that to take down Spinks. And now D-haw, he's burned so much clock here that this makes it very difficult, and there's a lot of pressure on these CTs to make an aggressive play like this, but they actually make it happen. And so they end up losing that post plant out, which is very surprising given how much time was burned. But at that point, it almost feels like if you know that they're there, you probably could maybe back off or just, you know, just move around the silo, perhaps. But at the same time, you don't really expect them to hit every shot and win like that. So this time, D-haw kind of baits Dodo a little bit, who wanted to go for a contact play into A, which is a very confusing call. I feel like that very rarely will work, to just go for a silent contact hit into the A site. And so D-haw, he's just trying to do a little bit more damage in this round, as he does, again, show his swift time to kill onto Relax there, throws the smoke to the side of the silo, and almost gets the kill onto Fasher on top of that. Very close. Gets him down to 20 HP. One more bullet, and he would have found that one. But still, 17 kills in the half thus far, and we've still got a couple of rounds to go. This time, the misdirection is towards outside, and the door position, and they just get lined up there. D-haw falls, and Lingby are able to pick up a 7th. in this case. So last round of the half, we'll see that D-haw throws the outside lurk smoke again. Uses a flash on top of that for some scaling, but doesn't go for the standard cross. And he actually makes his way on the left side. Bird from Sky has inserted himself into the secret position. And because of that, this should be actually a very advantageous position for D-haw. And you can see that he makes the most out of it by finding that one kill. And he reads this very well, but actually waits for the flash, spins around to get Bird from Sky on top of that. Like, D-haw is actually just insane with how quick he is at killing people. Like, his aim... It actually does remind me of Xantare's aim. I think Xantare's aim was a little bit faster. But D-haw, it's up there. It is crazy quick. And so he's able to get 3 kills in super quick succession. Pretty much just set himself up for 2 of those. And then the one flash from Alu to get that kill as the player is jumping out of heaven just was the way he found his second. But overall, just a spectacular T-side from D-haw. I feel like it's very hard to essentialize what his actual role is on ENCE, but I would say it's more or less an entry fragger. I would say it's a first man or second man in a lot of the time. So the fact that he's able to put up crazy numbers going first or second shows 2 things. It shows 2 things, actually. One thing is that it shows just how good the T-side is for ENCE on this map in particular, and that Snappi's calling has really unlocked D-haw in a way that I don't think he was not unlocked this much on Sprout. I feel like I never really saw him on the T side have this much impact. But on the CT side, D-haw was a beast for that team. And so given that CT side is oftentimes a little bit more individual focus in trying to hold your spot, just kill everybody that peeks you, he still was able to perform very well because he is just super talented. The second thing is that not only is the system favoring D-haw a lot, but the fact is that he is just so quick, and he's able to read even late round situations very well in order to break those down and make it easier for himself. Even though he has super quick aim, it definitely helps that he's able to break down. I mean, just look back at some of those clutches that he had in the first half and just see how he's just spinning around, reading the position of every opponent. It's actually just such a joy to watch this guy play. D-haw, though, continues in strong fashion with the instant headshot, another onto Fasher, and he's already eliminated the kind of misdirection players from Lingby. I know I keep saying that word, but this was kind of a lower hit that was supposed to been thrown off by the fact that there were 2 players that were pressuring towards that hell spot. And now D-haw knows that these players are towards lower, just kind of making sure that they don't come up the vent as he makes his way down Decon at this point. And now he's going to try to connect with Snappi in this instance, who is here at the top, or the bottom of ramp, that is, and he's just clearing out all the angles, knows that there is a player in the control side, knows that this position is also available, knows that the rafters are not an available position, but he tries to jump on through, doesn't actually find him. Snappi will go for this, though, and he actually is able to win it, interestingly enough. I probably should have slowed down, but it's not a Snappi demo review. I've already shown you one clutch from this guy. How good is Snappi? He's actually pretty good. And so D-haw is the outside player on a standard gun round here, and he barely misses the timing on that player that's pushing on through. And now he puts himself in one of his favorite positions here at the opposite vent. The bomb is dropped at his feet. The T should know he's here because he made some audio cues, but I mean, it almost doesn't matter. D-haw is able to recover and find 1.5 kills there. Takes down Relax, but still, it is a 2v1 for Snappi in this instance. And this time around, he is only able to find the 1 kill, not both of them. But D-haw now going to be busting out the Deagle. And we already saw how quick he could be with pistols in that pistol round just a couple prior. And this is a cool way to actually play around the outside smokes. And just, again, really good game sense. And what is that? Like, how does he do that? It's crazy. He almost kills Fasher through the smoke. And then just with the muzzle flare from his opponent, he's able to get another. He creates things out of absolutely thin air. In fact, it's not even thin air, it's smoked air. He's just shooting through smoke, and he's getting kills. He is literally just so insane. And he's able to take down NATO Sapphics here, just wants to make sure that he doesn't get killed by the Molotov pressure, and then still knows that this position is available to him, and he knows that there was actually a player outside at one point, but he overlooks the position as it does seem like the smoke is fading to Fasher's advantage. And Snappi just tries to hold on to his gun, look for some exit kills, but he's unable to find it. But D-haw still just so much damage on this guy, so much impact. And it's not just like these late round kills either where he's showing off his aim. He's doing it in the early round and just the clutch too. This guy is the reason that ENCE is a top 30 team right now. I think him and Snappi are huge for this roster. And these upgrades are just massive, and I really am actually really looking forward to the future of this ENCE team, because I feel like it's gotten a little bit tired, the narrative of hating on ENCE because of them kicking Alexi B. They finally brought back in a real IGL. They have a new star talent in D-haw, who's, for me, kind of taken over the position of Sergey for that raw rifle player. They still have Alu, who's as consistent as ever. Dodo is a rifler that I really enjoyed watching on the Havu lineup because he has very quick aim as well. He's probably the least skilled or most raw player on this lineup. It's probably between him and Spinks at this point. But all in all, this is an exciting team because they have a couple great young pieces and a couple of veterans too. And to me, it kind of reminds me of actually a little bit of a Mausports-esque lineup where you're bringing in an IGL who's kind of made some bad situations sort of work for himself at times. You have a kind of high... It's not a one-to-one by any means, but you have some young talent that Snappi can help mold. And, you know, it's cool to see that Snappi took Spinks, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Spinks was on contact, and so he's kind of taking him along for the ride. So now D-haw gets aggressive, wants to take this space away from Lingby Vikings, and now you just see how fast he's able to kill people. Excellent frag onto Fasher there, and a lot of nade pressure, though, will force him off, and he knows that eventually it's not worth it. The jump was a little risky, I'm not going to lie. I feel like he didn't need to go for that, as that almost caused him to die. And now he's kind of playing in with a one-way here with the smoke, where just peeking right underneath it all, and it's very difficult to see him, whereas look at the angles that he can see with that blue line, and it would be pretty hard for anybody to see him. So cool little smoke that anybody could throw or use in the future. And at this point, though, ENCE, they know that this situation has gotten out of hand. There's no real way to win this one. But they still go for a boost to try to get that kill on a bird from Sky, but it actually leads to D-haw dying, which is actually pretty bad, because now he loses his rifle, but we've seen what he can do with the deagle nonetheless. So, just plays right on the edge of the vent. Very awkward off angle that if anybody pushed through, they would probably not expect a player to be. So, he has his re-smoke. The door is actually not blown up, which I think is a little bit confusing to him. I feel like he was playing as if he thought that door were open, but it is not. So he throws another smoke towards door, just kind of playing on top of the hut, knows that the mini position is the most exposed here. He actually doesn't quite know for certain if they could be heaven either, so he actually puts himself into this close door position, and at this point there's just too much pressure from different positions that Lingby Vikings could be in, so wants to make a little bit of an info play. The flash setup was there for him to go for that peek, but now the flash is towards heaven, double flash towards heaven as a matter of fact, and they really think at this point that it is probably going to be an A split. But finally, Lingby Vikings have shown their hand. They're going towards lower at this point. 20 seconds left, and D-haw had an opportunity there, but he just can't connect, so that's going to be the round. But you could see the rotations and the way that when more map control was taken by Lingby Vikings, that ENCE had a couple of procedures in place to try to mitigate just all of the possibilities for the offense. So D-haw just playing right around these cross smokes, gets the lineup there, gets 1, gets 2, 3 kills, 4 for D-haw. This guy is just so swift with his kills. Like, I can't keep stressing how good this guy's mechanics are. He's just playing right around the smoke, and that was difficult for the T's to see, but there is a lot of trade potential there for them. And Lingby Vikings weren't even really badly spaced or anything like that. D-haw just perfectly controlled that spray and was right. He was around the smoke just enough to make that difficult for Lingby Vikings too. This guy is a one-man wrecking crew for ENCE, and he can just absolutely win games for them. Games, not just rounds, but entire games he wins on his own, it feels like. So this time, he actually rotates on towards lower. He was thinking of going for a play down there, but instead he actually just plays up close, and he's able to find 2 kills because of it. So actually made this a very winnable round for ENCE, and they do end up converting it. So D-haw there, just kind of finding the timing on the swing there, just catching Lingby off guard. You know, could have argued for him to stay right around the corner, but then you never really get a lineup, and if you're actually staying around the corner in that instance and they strafe out perpendicular to you, it can be a little bit more difficult, as if you're facing in a direction and your player, and they're coming like this, it's always harder to transfer that, whereas if you swing into the angle and just actually are able to line them up, you can see how much easier the spray becomes. So I mean, it's possible with how good his mechanics are that he would have found more kills, but 2 is still very good from that position. So D-haw smokes off the door as he rotates up from secret, and now makes his way into control. He's taken up this lower side of the map. There is actually nobody here to help him, as you guys can maybe see from this angle, the X-ray. And so D-haw is fully responsible for everything going down there, but now Lingby, they really made it kind of obvious for ENCE in this circumstance where they're going. So D-haw falls off of a better position to lock down that lower bomb site, and ENCE are able to actually hold it off. Although D-haw does jump into the vents, and his time to kill plays into his favor once again, as he's able to outduel Bird from Sky, who falls from the sky right onto D-haw's bullets. So D-haw just kind of playing around a very tricky angle, this vent area. You don't really see people have to anchor this all too often, but the fact that the bomb is right behind him is kind of why he does this. Although Fasher with a really nice shot to take him down at the end of things. And Fasher, like I said, I mean, he's a guy to watch out for, but he's not... I'll say he's not as good as D-haw, but he's really solid. Shouts out to Ben Lee for putting Fasher on my radar, the IGL of High Coast. Ben Lee, that is, not Fasher. And now D-haw playing outside behind the red box, and he's just jumping around. Like, this guy is just outdueling everybody at this point.
Yeah, you need to clear it.
And Bird from Sky knows they have to clear it. Because D-haw is now just... He is the reason that Lingby Vikings can't go outside for this game. This is, it's, as a lot of people have been saying lately, he is unplayable. Which is a very weird phrase, in my opinion, but I've been hearing more and more people say that. D-haw getting aggressive, though, just locking down lobby. Does go for a peek towards radio to see if he could timing him, but doesn't actually happen. And now D-haw has a little bit more quiet of a game for the rest of this, but we'll still watch it, of course. As Sphinx is the one to clean up along with Dodo, D-haw goes for an aggressive push through the smoke as he's just feeling totally confident about the situation, and the rest of his team's just feeling it now. It felt like for this game that ENCE were just kind of cold, kind of 50-50, but D-haw just put them on his back and carried them to the promised land for long enough that they could get warmed up into the game as he takes a fight towards outside, and ENCE are still able to recover it once again, and just shows that once they get rolling, that ENCE can handle things on their own without D-haw, but he really, without him, this game is probably over by now. Lingby Vikings probably would have won this. ENCE would be eliminated from Snow Sweet Snow in the Swiss stage, by the way. And so D-haw plays a more passive approach. He'll be just sitting in mini like a normal person would, not just going to go for the wide swings towards outside, but gets a little bit bored, and he does end up doing it. It's like he reeled himself in for the first 30 seconds of the round, and then reminded himself that, hey, wait a second, I'm D-haw, and I can do this. And by the way, if you guys don't know about D-haw's past, I remember that this guy actually got a lot of accusations back in the day, and he actually interestingly had a yeah, kind of an interesting past. I'll just say that. If you guys want to look it up yourselves, you can. But I don't really have any strong opinions on it, nor do I want to just put information out there that I'm not really too sure about. But people were really questioning whether this guy was legit for a while. So ENCE is just able to hold things down. They lock down all of their positions, and D-haw here at the very end gets the final kill of the game. Very fitting, as he did so much to drag ENCE over the finish line here. This was map 3. This was the game that they needed to win in order to avoid elimination. And just look at that ADR from D-haw. Look at those stats. It's just crazy. This guy was so above and beyond everybody else that was in the server on this day. And in the previous, actually the map before this, he gets a better rating. He got less kills, and I was kind of deciding whether I wanted to do that demo or this one. But if you guys want to do it on your own, I mean, you guys should watch the game before this, which I think was on Dust 2 or Train. I forgot which one now, but I think it was both those maps were the prior maps. But D-haw is just a sensational talent. I am really excited for what this guy brings for ENCE in the future, along with Snappi, along with Spinks. I feel like this is a great situation that's brewing for ENCE, and despite the rocky 2020 that they had after kicking Alexi B, I feel like if there were ever a time to buy ENCE stock, now is the time, because they are going to be a hot commodity in a few months. So, thanks for joining me, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe. If you guys like the longer form demos, then this is all for you. If you guys like the shorter form ones, I'm just putting out a mix of them now. If I feel like it's important to show one or the other, I'm just kind of doing it off of feeling a little bit. And also, I'm in California right now. I'm not actually at home, but this video is coming out while I'm there. This is just a scheduled release. I'm queuing up a few videos. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one and don't mind the fact that I'm putting a lot of these together today. You guys don't know that though, because they're all releasing whenever I feel like releasing them. So peace out, guys. And as always, being toxic is a choice.